same question arose at the setbacks. It was determined that we can still use that because that is what was approved for this subdivision. Again, this is not a typical subdivision, it's a cluster development, which means all the lots became smaller, and that's why we don't comply with, none of the houses as of now comply with the 20% existing.
Right.
We are 34%. Everybody's at least above 20, okay, because it wasn't approved, and as Kelly said, it was discussed, but it was decided not to include it. Because of that, a lot of land was given away for green. That wouldn't have happened. We would have had bigger lots, we would have complied with the subdivision. So we gave it away based on a specific data, correct? Whoever did the subdivision. Now, years later, comes and then you tell me that you can't do it because you have to apply the new zone, the new lot coverage. It's a little bit tough when everybody becomes non-conforming, which means anybody who wants to put a little pad, and this whole development has to go to zoning board.
And I don't want to cut you off, but while I understand your argument, this board isn't in the position to make a determination on it. We're bound by the determination of the building inspector. So if the building inspector is telling us 20%, that's what this board can do. So is it Article 78 the challenge?
No, that's actually a good point, because that was the part I wanted to talk about.
Didn't know if it was an article or just an application to the ZBA.
It's just an application to the ZBA to appeal his determination, and in this instance, I would recommend what he can do is if he does that, he appeals the determination, it has to be done within a certain time frame, and then in the alternative, request area variances. You can do that all in one application. And he said, well, what would the ZBA, do? How would you do that? What would they look at? They would be looking at the plans, the code at the time, the minutes at the time, and that was part of the reason I went down this rabbit hole. But the point, one of the other points is I don't know how these other houses got the impervious surface coverage. That doesn't matter, whether they did or they didn't.
At that point, when it was built,
yeah,
it was the 20% limit. So everybody built the house on the driveway, whatever they had to do, but they all, years later,
it's true.
There's a new lot coverage, they imposed a new lot coverage, all of a sudden everybody becomes non-compliant.
That's true.
Because now they're all small lots. They're a quarter acre.
I get what you're saying. I understand the point you're trying to make. It's just, legally my hands are tied right here. I can't do anything about it because I'm going on a determination by the building inspector and by the current code, and that's what this board has to go by. So if you go to the ZBA and they render a decision either overturning the building inspector's determination or giving you a ZBA, then this board can move the application forward. Or you somehow have to magically cut 23% off the plan.
So
it's existing. The 23,
pretty much
13% existing over.
New regulations come down all the time, and it does make properties pre-existing non-conforming if they're built on, if they're not, whatever. We're noticing that on the West End application too, right? Some of those are legally pre-existing non-conforming conditions.
Right.
Here, if people built to a certain level, I don't know why they were allowed to or what happened during that time. I will say this, that there are cases out there that have actually overturned building inspectors' issuances of a building permit like 25 years later. Yep. I'm not saying to anybody that's watching this that is ever going to happen here. I'm just saying that I don't know what happened back then. I can only tell you based on the documents that I'm able to review, which is why I wanted to be able to let the applicant know as well tonight that if he's going to appeal, I would suggest doing an area variance in the alternative and then proceeding with that application.
And you already have this board already gave you the referral to the ZBA, so that's already taken care of.
That's already taken care of. So it's just preparing the application and getting on the next agenda, which, hang on, I can tell you when.
Now, what's the time clock? So 30, is it like an article? Is it a 30-day from the decision?
From the building inspectors, I believe it's 60 days from the building inspector's determination on that.
Okay.
What is that?
You have 60 days from the day that the building inspector rendered the determination that you're looking to challenge.
But if he can get in an application to the ZBA by November 25th, next Wednesday, I can talk to the chairman about getting him on the next ZBA agenda to try and move it forward, because I understand he's been trying to do the work on this, so.
And the only thing I can do for you is, I know we've been kicking this application around for a while, is that if you get on the next ZBA, because it's at least 2 meetings, right? Because it's gonna be,
It's at least 2 meetings, yeah.
so, I mean, the best I can do for you is, once I hear back from the ZBA, is I can put you on the next agenda when I get the decision back from the ZBA.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there, because I don't know what the ZBA is gonna do, right? And you may not get a favorable determination, and you may have to redesign your plan anyway. So, listen, I know it sounds like I hope you understand this board's position too. We're legally not allowed to do anything right now.
Yeah, I understand. Again,
But being optimistic, he could get a great decision from the ZBA and then come in here with his green balloon or whatever
There
he's saying.
you go. Get to spend more time with us.
that's exciting.
Hey, I look forward to it too. It's always a pleasure. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Let me know when you guys are in the sewers if you see the Ninja Turtles. I hear they like pizza. All right, so you're good on that process though, right? Like
Yeah.
what you have to do?
Yes, we'll do that. That's,
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you,
All
sir.
right, good night, everybody.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night, sir.
Good night.
All right, no further business in front of the board. I'll offer a motion to close.
Second.
Second, any questions? Anybody really want to stay? All in favor? Aye.